going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique updates from Nathan Asha. At 3 days out from the 2024 Dubai Pro, where we've got this epic rematch of William Bonac, Behrooz, Nathan. Neckzilla's going to be in the mix. But this recent update from Nathan really impressed me. And again, I feel like we kind of got to give a shout out to both him and Bonac's coach, Stefan, boss of Outlaw, because these guys both look incredible. We're going to talk about Bonac a little bit later in the video. But I think Nathan looks really, really impressive here. And the thing that I really like about Nathan's physique, in particular, the version of Nathan that we saw most recently on stage, the version that beat William Bonac, is he's got this ability, and at least at that show he did, and it looks like in these updates he did, he's got this ability to come in extremely full. Like full as a house, his chest, his shoulders, his arms, this really full round look. And then also have really good conditioning. Maybe not as sharp as Bonac, but really comparable to Bonac with like extreme fullness. To the extent that it becomes very overwhelming for the guys that he's competing with, and even overcoming some of the shortcomings of his physique. Obviously, he tore that one bicep, so there's a little bit of an imbalance there in some poses. And then also, the waist looks a little bit weird in some poses, but because of the way the obliques stick out. But it looked like at that show with Bonac, it looked better. His abs were deeper. He had a little bit better control over his midsection. It wasn't necessarily a bubble gut situation. It was more on the sides. His obliques were kind of sticking out and taking away from that V-taper, but his abs were so deep and etched. At that most recent show that he competed and beat Bonac, it really didn't show as much the weirdness of the obliques because his abs look so good. And keep in mind, there have been shows where we've seen updates from Nathan where he didn't look as detailed or as conditioned or as sharp in the updates. And then that actually did translate to the stage, like the show where Behrooz beat Nathan. So we had seen updates of him going into that show against Behrooz. He didn't look as impressive, and he didn't beat Behrooz. But then going into the show where he beat Bonac, he was posting updates where he looked incredibly impressive and detailed and conditioned. And then he did beat Bonac. And I would say these updates that we're seeing from him at 3 days out are on the impressive side. And I think you also have to combine that with what I've mentioned a couple times in the past couple of videos. I've talked to people that have seen these guys in person this week at Oxygen Gym. And the most common thing that I'm hearing is Nathan looks great in person from people that have seen him right up close in real life. And I think that's a valuable analysis. And you combine that analysis with updates like this, I think Nathan is looking to be in a very dangerous position. And I mean dangerous as far as for the other competitors because he looks really good. And being the guy that beat Bonac the last time these guys were on stage, I think kind of puts him in a front-runner position because, again, Bonac beat Behrooz, so for Nathan to have beaten Bonac in the most recent matchup, that would, present this argument that if Nathan can beat Bonac and Bonac can beat Behrooz, Nathan can beat both of them, even though he has not yet beat Behrooz head-to-head this year. So if I'm being honest, I think we're going into this weekend with Nathan as the front-runner of the three. And again, Neckzilla being a little bit of a wild card. But then we also got an update earlier today from William Bonac, also at 3 days out from the Dubai Pro, where he looks extremely impressive too, arguably more impressive than some of the updates going into the show with Nathan. Looking at his legs in particular, when he's hitting the abs and thighs here, that was one of the things that really stood out to me about this update, was the incredible separation and detail in his quads in this picture. I mean, just such deep lines, both vertically and he's got those horizontal cross striations in the quads. Just amazing detail in his lower body in these updates. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm not a huge fan of Bonac hitting the side version where he like flexes his obliques and his serratus in the abs and thighs, because of the fact that it just looks weird when they call out that pose in a comparison and everybody else hits it from the front and Bonac hits it from the side. I actually like when he hits it from the front better because I feel like the thinking is when you hit it from the side, maybe you're hiding the fact that you're not as aesthetic from the front midsection wise, which Bonac is not. He's a little bit blocky in that regard. But I actually think that when everybody else is hitting it from the front and you're the only person hitting the side variation, I think it almost draws more attention to the fact that you're trying to hide a weakness in that pose, and it just makes you stand out more, but not stand out in a good way. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below, because you've got both variations of the pose right here at 3 days out. I actually really prefer the way he's hitting it from the front. His midsection doesn't look bad. It's obviously not going to be the most streamlined midsection ever, but the detail in his legs, the way he's flexing his legs, he's kind of hitting a vacuum pose. He's showing off a taper to a degree here. And I would also argue that even from the side, the way that he flexes his quad is not nearly as impressive as the way his quad is flexed just front facing. But I think when you're talking about conditioning and detail, Bonac is looking fantastic. And like I said, that's kind of the strong suit that Nathan brought against Bonac last time. Bonac might have been more conditioned and detailed the last time they stepped on stage together, but Nathan was able to bring comparable conditioning and detail, even if it wasn't quite as good, but then with like this overwhelming fullness to his physique, and that's where Nathan, I think, is really strong. Now, Behrooz also posted a video of him training in Dubai today. We haven't really seen a full physique update from Behrooz as far as him posing in several weeks now, so we really don't have anything super recent to go off of as far as how he's looking conditioning-wise. You can kind of see from a size perspective in this video, he looks pretty full and vascular. We know he brings really good aesthetics to the stage, and we know that he's kind of known for his conditioning at this point. So I really feel like this will be your top three. I think it's going to come down to these three guys. And again, Rubiel is kind of a wild card. And looking at this lineup, there's a couple other guys that stand out to me. You know, Robin Strand might be a guy that's able to make the first call out here, but a little bit shakier on him after a kind of disappointing appearance in Chicago. I like Sibu Sisu's physique, but we haven't seen him on stage in a while, and I don't know if he's quite, from what I've seen, at the level of a Nathan or a Bonac or a Behrooz conditioning-wise. And like I said in yesterday's video about Rubiel, it's kind of hard to say where his mind is at with this show. And I actually saw today that Rubiel blocked me on Instagram, so he must not have liked that video. But I do think it's worth pointing out, and like I did in that video, that he said in his own words he wasn't excited or confident about the fact that he had to change his coaching situation and change his whole prep at, you know, just 8 weeks out from the show. And he was feeling, you know, very stressed about it. And he wasn't, you know, super confident about how he was going to look. And then saying he felt kind of forced to do this show under his sponsor's terms, I think is also a significant thing. But like I said in that video, I still hope to see Rubiel do very well. At the end of the day, I want to see him come in crazy, and I want to see him come in shredded, and I want to see a guy of his size peeled to the bone and just, if he dominated this show, like I said in that video, if he comes in just looking insane and he beats these three guys, that's one of the most exciting bodybuilding stories of the year and probably one of the coolest things that'll happen before the Olympia, and that's probably the most entertaining outcome, is if he beats three Olympia qualified guys that all just won shows at his second IFBB Pro show ever. That would be crazy, and I hope that does happen. I would love to see that. And I think it is worth pointing out that I just talked about in this video how good Nathan looks. It's worth pointing out that at Rubiel's pro debut, he did beat Nathan. He was third, and Nathan placed behind him at that show, which is a big feather in Rubiel's cap, although I would argue Nathan at the show most recently, where he beat William Bonac, I think was arguably the best version of Nathan we've ever seen, and I think looked way better than he looked at that show where Rubiel beat him. So I think, you know, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison because I think Nathan looks way better here. But we'll see what happens this weekend. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who's your favorite to win? What do you think about the lineup? What do you think about Bonac, Behrooz, and Nathan? What do you think about the possibilities for Neckzilla? Let me know down below. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. All that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. Alright guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply NICKS&P, my secondary YouTube channel, NICKS& Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, NICKS& Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a NICKS& t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.